Okay, so if you have any questions, you may ask, or let us move to next sutra. See, vishaya, viṣayavatī va pravṛttiḥ utpannā manasaḥ sthiti-nibandhinī. This is the sutra. So the whole set of instructions or knowledge which is being on passed by Patanjali is for holding on to that control on mind. That's the beginning. But cessation of all the vrittis is the final target. And if we remember, we did discuss about different chitta bhumikas, different tonalities of mind or different kinds of mind, from chitta, mudha, vikshipta, ekagra and niruddha. These were the states of mind, capacity, tonality of the mind, how mind is functioning. So if you see this clearly, it is moving from vikshipta to ekagra. And in case of Patanjali, vikshipta is not that ordinary word which we use in Hindi. In Hindi, when we say vikshipta, it means a person who is completely not in his senses, lost all control. That is what in Hindi we generally mean by when we use this word vikshipta. But in sutras, vikshipta has been used for a higher state of mind than kshipta or mood. Which means now the mind is having certain currents, certain thoughts, but it is much in control, or you can say the object of those thoughts is more or less not leaving the mind space so quickly. For example, anything you are doing which is of your interest, what you feel is that you have attained concentration, right? So for ordinary people, what we think of as concentration, in fact, if you ask yogis, they will say it is vikshipta state. All right. Vikshipta means now your mind is continuously engaged in some activity primarily, but not completely one with that activity. Let me tell you that also. Why? Because you have not worked on many of the subtle currents before you engage in any activity for that matter. For example, you love painting and suppose you start painting. Then you think that you have completely engrossed your mind in that act. But ordinarily, even if you're so much focused on one job, it has to have definitely one thing in common, that it should have variety for you to allow that mind to hop from one place to another within the subject matter. For example, painting. So when you're doing painting, you're engaged with multiple colors. You're engaged with the theme. You're also engaged with the different kind of strokes, right? You're also engaged with many other small, what you call nuances of the painting. So there are multiple things to be attempted, done, or to become one with for the mind. Correct. Let's talk about music. You feel that music is also something in which people get concentrated. Is it right? Most people think. But in yoga system, it is vikshipta state. Why? Because you are basically having variety of things there in one domain of your interest or activity. You're moving from one. So mind has that little play. The play field is now narrow, but still the play field exists. Correct? Think of any activity in which you thought you were concentrated. You will clearly see that there are multiple objects, multiple ways in which mind is still moving from one object to another, making choices, liking and disliking. So many things are parallelly being done. Recognize this. And therefore, yogis say this is not a concentrated state of mind. This is vikshipta state of mind. Special. It is not kshipta, where it is jumping from subject to subject. In vikshipta, it is well within the subject domain, but jumping from one piece to another piece. In music also, you see the notes, the ragas, the tonality of voice, the rhythm. Find out your own interest. Even when you say, I get concentrated when I do my gardening. Think about it. Is it concentrated state of your mind, or you are engrossed in one activity and therefore you're saying, my mind as of now is not entertaining other domains. Within this domain, my mind has freedom to move from here and there. Is it correct? So this is vikshipta state. So attaining ekagra state is a task which you have to somehow accomplish. Which means you'll have to find only one object and to remain with one object. There should be no variation of thought also. For example, say when we do mantra sadhana, for example. So how a mantra sadhana is done? Suppose let us take a very common name of Lord, we say Rama. Okay? Alright. So when we say Rama, and if you have given a pause and no other subject has been entertained in between the first Rama and second Rama, then it is approaching that concentrated state. Again, it is vikshipta, not concentrated. Why? Because Rama also has so many attributes. For you, Rama is a human being. So you may be enticed by his valor, maybe his masculinity, maybe his moral conduct, whatnot. So within Rama, your mind has play, but at least it has become narrower now. Now think of another thing. Patanjali has given one practice which is taking us towards the ekagra state, or varying from kshipt going to vikshipt and then taking it to ekagra, which was pranava. And he said tad japa tadartha bhavana. There he has described many attributes of Ishvara. So what yogis suggest, that you choose one attribute at a time. One attribute of that Ishvara, which is a concept in yoga only, despite being connected with Sankhya philosophy, which does not consider any tattva like Ishvara there. But Patanjali understands the mind very well. He knows that we need to be given some prop. And he therefore introduces Ishvara. Okay. And in that, definition, he says, Klesha karma vipakashe aparamashta purusha vishesh Ishvara. Right? All that he said. Now, if you think of this whole definition you want to contemplate on tad japa tadartha bhavana, it is again a problem. It cannot lead you to ekagra state. that you think the Ishvara is omniscient, Ishvara is all pervading, Ishvara is infinite, Ishvara is just, Ishvara is compassionate. You see, we may have this whole bouquet of qualities to pick up and choose anytime. And if you're doing that, you're not doing the japa as per yogic system. You pick up only one quality at a time. Understand? If you do that, it will probably take you there. That was one thing. Here especially Patanjali is talking about vishaya. Now you see, there are two ways in which anything can be perceived by us in this, our interaction or experience of this world. One is through our sense organs. That means using our organs which are located in certain ways, arranged in our body, they give us certain input, and based on that, experience happens at the level of chitta. That is one way. Another way, these are known as karnas, the equipments or the tools provided with you. These are known as karana. And when your karanas fail, we use upakarana. Understand? For example, when we are not able to see smaller things through this karana, which is called eyes, we will use microscope, which is upakarana, or we'll use telescope, which is upakarana. Karana, then upakarana. So this is to be clarified for your understanding only, not that upakaranas are to be any ways used in the practice of yoga. Just to give the genesis of the word upakarana, which means equipment, which we are using. It is extension of karana. Things which we can't see, we use upakarana to extend our bandwidth, reach, clarity, whatever. All right. So coming back to this particular statement of Patanjali, where he is talking of viṣayavatī, right? Viṣayavatī va. So vishaya can be perceived in two ways. One, I have just described. You open your eyes, you see things, they fall upon your eyes, they go back to your chittam, and then you perceive. And you have an experience of it. But if I ask you to close your eyes and say, imagine a lemon, don't you see a lemon? You see a lemon. If I say, just close your eyes, imagine the taste of the lemon being squeezed on your tongue, don't you start getting a lot of saliva? Some of you might have gulped also. So, was it given from outside? No, the lemon appeared from within. Correct now? Because you have some experience of it. Although no sadhaka who is just beginning to walk on the path of yoga has experienced Ishvara. Nobody. But since you have been given certain attributes of Ishvara, your intellect stores it in some or the other way. You subjectively you understand one attribute as something. For example, omniscience. Everybody's subjective experience of this world will be different. Just, compassionate, unsullied by klesha karma, etc. Everybody's experience is going to be different, but doesn't matter. Your experience is only what matters. When you are actually putting your attention within that narrow band of Ishvara, japa, tadartha, bhavana. So you have to have that one artha, one meaning of Ishvara, one quality of Ishvara at a time. But tell me, do you really have that much control that when I say Ishvara, you have to focus on one quality of Ishvara, and you have so much control that no other quality of Ishvara will come in your head? I don't think so. Again a problem. So even that is not leading to ekagra chitta bhumika. Yet it is taking you closer. Why? Because it is only using certain definitions which have been stored within your intellect and using your imagination or using your recall, you reverberate with that understanding which you have stored. So you are not dependent on karnas. Therefore, you can say this vishaya or subject is internal. So Ishvara is internal subject, and therefore vishaya word has not been used. Japa is the process which is carried out well within the mind itself. It can be, though we may not, because we may use our lips. We may also start using our vocal cords. But mantra, the root is manan. Again, the root is mana. Something which happens within the mind is ultimately has certain specific powers, has been referred to as mantra. So here, internally you are doing all these things, and therefore no vishaya word has been used. Here Patanjali has taken us to next step probably. If that is not possible for you, what can you do? You see. So here he says that you can use vishayas. Vishaya means whatever organs of cognition we have, they have a vishaya, means they have a subject, they have a domain of their experience. For example, the form or the rupa is the subject or vishaya of our eyes. The sound is the vishaya of our ears, shravanendriya. The taste is the vishaya of our tongue, which is rasana, not jihva. Because jihva is the vishaya of sound when it is being produced. Jihva, it is called jihva. It's two in one organ, as I told you many times. It is jihva as well as rasana. So when we are using rasana, it is organ of taste, and the subject is also taste, so on and so forth. So you have these vishayas pertaining to your indriyas. Now, if I ask you to investigate a vishaya, viṣayavatī, you see, the word used is viṣayavatī. We have to include a vishaya in our contemplation, or rather be ready to experience a vishaya or subject. That is what through our antakarana is being viṣayavatī. Our prajna, our manas is becoming viṣayavatī. Okay, so only this much let us focus on. So if I ask you to choose an object for or vishaya for eyes, what you can do? Of course, you will open your eyes, right? And the moment you open your eyes is a problem because there are so many vishayas. Is it not? So again, the purpose is going to be forfeited. It is you are not able to actually focus your attention of eyes onto one subject, because there are so many subjects. In this differentiated experience of world, there are so many subjects on which your eyes or your drishti or your vision is going to wander. So how to create a vishaya which is one-pointed, doesn't take our mind or doesn't give us any leeway, it doesn't provide us with any bandwidth where our mind can wander. That thing must be given to you. If I say focus on sound, create a subject, find out a subject in the sound, And whatever by the way, ears are always open. They become more open when you become attentive. Only that much. Not that they become more open, you start experiencing more of it. That's it. So ears are the organs which are always open. Subject matter of vishaya of ears, if you need to find, then what you will do? It's always open. So many sounds are falling upon us. Everything is being perceived. Again, we are lacking that issue that we have to have one. Again, lacking. So what do? People do this Nada yogis. Last time Priya asked, what about mantra yoga or Nada yoga? She says. Then what will you? Close your ears. You see, why to close your ears? Because you don't want the sounds to come now from outside. Focus on only internal sounds. We are creating a narrow vishaya or narrow subject for the ears so that our chittam becomes more concentrated. All its energies, faculties, power of cognition, power of processing becomes focused. But that may be a method, but Patanjali and the contemporary masters, they probably agreed on one point, that we cannot give vishaya or subject which is lying in the outer world. So closing your ears and focusing on inner sound is also kind of attempt which we are making in that direction, that no other sound should come. We will only try to focus on whatever is remaining so that we are not distracted. Correct? So that the mind is also focused. But you see, Patanjali and the contemporary masters, they said, you don't need to do all that. They said, you rather investigate. And let me tell you, we think that our subject, when experienced through our karna or organ, produces the sensation. Correct? This is what is commonly understood. Subject or the attributes must come to us from that subject. They should stimulate that organ, and then that organ will give us sensations back in our brain probably, and then we'll experience that object. This is what it is. Normal understanding. But just let us think, what is the ultimate source of the sensation? The ultimate source of that sensation or experience is the perception which is happening at the level of cortex somewhere. Suppose your all senses are somehow numbed. All senses. Some sort of anesthesia should be given. You can't see, you can't hear, you can't smell, you can't taste, you can't experience the touch, etc. Nothing. But you know that you are there. You're not in coma. Suppose that happens. And by way of certain applications of triggers in your brain, if suppose I start stimulating the center of, let's say, vision, okay, somehow, because these are electrical impulses which are actually at the end perceived as sensations by us, right? So if I do that, what will be your experience? Your experience will be of seeing something. And it will depend what kind of stimulation I am able to provide. If I know the exact methodology how brain perceives an object, probably I can give you certain signals in such a way, electrical impulses in such a way directly to your brain, you start seeing the whole movie. Right or not? That will happen. And this has been tried, let me tell you, in the guinea pigs, those, what you call, experimental mouse, right? They are used for the purpose. In that, they have tried it in multiple ways. So there they found the center in the brain of a mouse, let's say, that if we stimulate this particular center, then the mouse will have the experience of orgasm. And then they left the mouse free in the cage, provided with a switch somewhere. So some mouse occasionally pressed that switch and the electrode was already there. He got the sensation. Then they observed what the mouse, this whole, every mouse goes and does. They found that exactly they are going again and again pressing that switch. Right. So that means if you can give this sensation to mouse, only to give you this understand that if this sensation can be given to mouse, this can be given to even humans also. You have to just insert some electrode and give that a stimulation, you start feeling ecstatic. Correct? Again, there is a dependence. And for that to experience, all your senses have to be numbed. You don't have any control on anything. So therefore, you will have to be numbed before you are given such experience. But here, yogis are asked to get some control so that they don't entertain other things than what they want. And as I told you, that this is the highest upaya of yoga we are discussing here in Samadhi part. And therefore, it is for those kind of practitioners, those kind of sadhakas, those kind of aspirants who are having some basic eligibility. So they have little control on their mind. If you ask them to sit down and not do anything, they will not do that. They will start itching. No, I want to do something. I'm getting bored. These expressions will not come. At least this much. And if they are asked, suppose, to think about a particular object or particular subject, they will do that. Rather than their mind jumping onto different subject. So there is this qualification, this basic criterion is being met. This eligibility is there. And therefore Patanjali is, and those masters are giving us methods to induce vishayas in our own self. And this is with so much research of those times, all those masters who meditated and then found out these centers where if you put your attention, and of course you have to be in a state where you are not looking outwardly for your any other sensations. Rather, you are somewhat withdrawn from the world, which is vairagya. You follow a little bit. So vairagya is there. You're not interested in the world. You are interested only in the practice and the sensation arising out. The vishaya you want to experience. In that state, they have given certain locations well within the cavity of mouth, from extending from nose to the root of the tongue. There are locations. So if you focus your attention on certain point and be there for considerably long duration, and when your concentration becomes intense, you will start experiencing the subject or vishaya pertaining to a particular organ. For example, the tip of the nose, here somewhere, above the lips. If you focus and remain here, your attention remains here. You are not entertaining anything else. That means you are engrossed in this activity, oblivious of everything else. Then, after some time, when your practice is intensified, you'll start experiencing divine fragrance, which does not require anything outside. Now, why we are choosing this method? You understood? There are certain locations starting from your tip of the nose, going back to the within the mouth cavity, where you focus your attention and different subjects pertaining to different organs starts to manifest. And when they start manifesting, you're not dependent on anything else. You're not dependent on the world. You don't need any flower or any essence to experience fragrance. All right. It is generated within you. See, this is the technology. This is the process. Now, you may ask, why not use one single fragrance outside? Instead, work too hard only to create this internal sensation of fragrance? You may ask. Say, why don't we? Let's use, musk. Let's use whatever you love based on that. Rose, sandal, anything. Why don't I choose something from outside? Why do I need to create some sensation of fragrance from my own span of attention being narrowed to a particular spot and then intensifying my concentration and then producing that fragrance? Why that needs to be done? Is that a question? I don't know whether you had a question, but I certainly given this question, injected a question in your head. Now, since I gave you this as a question, I would want you to come up with certain logic, rationale from your own understanding. Why this? Why can we not use, let's say in a perfectly dark room, pitch dark room, in a comfortable seating, where nothing irritates you, no mosquito bites, right? There is no light, only fragrance. Can we use that? Why not? You may say. But this is not the method adopted by yogis. Why so is my question. Why can't we use any sensation, anything which stands alone? Not multiple things, only one thing at a time. Let's say surrounded by no other object, completely blacked out, and now you are given only one sound in that room. Will it not create the similar effect? That's my question. Only sound. You can't see anything. There's nothing to touch except wherever you're seated. No other smell is coming, no taste, no supply, no stimulus other than the sound. So dominantly one sound is being played. One note, let's say. Will it give you the same experience? Will it make viṣayavatī for the chittam to become viṣayavatī? And if it, why not? It will, but there is some lacuna in it. You see, let us come back to this particular technique and find out why internal vishayas need to be created rather than having anything external to focus, to create that focused state of mind. Right? Simple. Here we are not talking of any miracles, being attempted, chakras being ignited, powers being felt, nothing of that sort. The only thing is that we want to concentrate our mind. We want to reduce the chatter. We want to limit the bandwidth for the mind. And then we have arrived at that we will choose only one subject. Vishaya means one subject. One subject means I'll choose one vision. Let's say Trataka was example. I use a flame. Or flame, maybe you may say that flame is somewhat flickering. So maybe with the flickering of the flame, my mind will also flicker. Let us take a stable stationary object of source of light. So that's not the case. So here, let me bring the most important aspect of it. Any sensation or any object of desire or sought after a sensation, which initially looks to us or we experience it as sukha or pleasant, The moment we receive it, it starts turning towards dukkha, whether we notice it or not. Anything, the sukha is in your imagination that when I receive this, I'll be happy. And of course, you feel that highest happiness when you just receive the object. And you don't recognize it only till very late that actually the sukha has receded from the same object, same sensation, same thing, whatever you desired that much, now the sukha has reduced. And let me tell you, if you are really intelligent, you would know that the moment that the object was received, the sukha started going southward towards dukkha. Then there is no sukha in life. Why? Because the moment you receive it, it is approaching towards dukkha. And therefore, if you look at this, you know that if anything we are experiencing from outside, now, anything which we are experiencing from outside as a vishaya, when we are using our organs of cognition, the sensation will turn into dukkha after some time. Understand? Which may be experienced as tiredness, irritation, numbness, having sort of aversion for it. Can you actually bear it? No. So any external sensation, whatever it be, rasa, rupa, shabda, gandha, sparsha, howsoever pleasant it may be, howsoever divinely pleasant it may be, for whatever you're receiving from external world, using your organs, that vishaya or subject will turn into a pain over time. In a very short span. It won't take a life for you to experience. In the same sitting of experience, you'll say, Abhi bahut ho gaya, it's too much. Now please remove this light. I can't see this light anymore. My eyes have started paining. Correct or not? Now keeping your eyes closed, keeping your all senses with yourself, not exposing it to the external world at all. If you are creating sensation within, the most important quality of this sensation is that it never turns towards dukkha. And therefore, a yogi may continue to experience the concentrated state for as long as he or she desires. Understand? This is something great about these internal sensations. For example, as I told you, that if you start experiencing some smell, and I can tell you, that smell will be such, and with experience I'm telling you, although not from the path of yoga, of course from the path of tantra, that this smell which you experience is heavenly. You can't get such fragrances made or probably blended in this world. All right. Such is the fragrance. And everyone experiences a different fragrance. All right. Now, this fragrance which you experience, you can continue to experience lifelong. You'll never say it's enough. Enough of this. This is what is the inherent quality of these inner sensations. And that is why Patanjali and contemporary yogis and masters of those times are not saying that use an object outside. Use only one vishaya, one subject, and focus on it. Instead, focus somewhere within and let the sensation rise up. And as it rises, you become more and more engrossed because it never turns downward. It never moves southward. It never goes from the domain of that pleasantness to, no, I don't like it anymore. Understand? So this is why vishaya is important and internal vishayas need to be created. And further, these things, when they happen to you, they are also a sort of encouragement that yes, something more I can experience. Something was hidden in me. I had a capacity to produce such a fragrance which no master blender in this world could produce. No person in this world could produce. I can see certain light, patterns, images, whatnot, which no kaleidoscope can give me. And I'm never tired of it. That's another beauty of it. So when you get to this kind of an experience using vishaya, internal vishaya though, then your mind, sthiti-nibandhinī. I've not taken pravṛttiḥ. We'll talk about that later in the next talk. So there you have sthiti-nibandhana. Your mind is kind of trapped there. It can't move. Think about it. If you are experiencing the most beautiful, heavenly, divine fragrance of your lifetime, and you're just having goosebumps in your, right, something, exhilaration, feeling of exhilaration, and further, there is no possibility of it getting tapered at all. The experience stays as it is. Will you not be trapped there? You will be trapped. That means you're not you, your mind. Now your mind is not able to move here and there. Sthiti-nibandhinī. All right. So I think for today it is enough. Let us pray and then we'll leave. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shivaham.